civil, and human rights. All right, we're in Atlanta today. We're going to go inside and visit the Civil Rights Museum. Gorgeous building, isn't it? Let's go see what it beholds. Well, we are in the museum, and what you're seeing behind me is the route that the Freedom Riders took. Now, you'll get a chance to view this video later in today's show. I just want to set you up for what's about to come. This was an incredible visit to a historical site, the Center for Civil and Human Rights. As a human rights commissioner here in Marin County, in Northern California, I take those duties to my heart. And I realize while visiting this museum, the shoulders that we stand on. Now, I've known this for a long time. However, seeing what so many incredible human beings went through, also witnessing the terror that other human beings inflicted on men, women, children. I want to encourage you as a parent, as a student, as a caring human being, if you have the opportunity to travel down to Atlanta and visit the center, I think it will be very worthwhile, especially those of us that would like to help create positive change in this world. The Freedom Riders were black, white, male, female, Christian, Jewish, Muslim. It was truly a cross-representation of this wonderful country we call home. And I just want you to bear witness the way Lisa and I did. It can seem a bit traumatic at times. However, if human beings have to suffer this physically, we can tolerate sharing their stories. You get a chance to sit down at the counter that the 4 black students from North Carolina sat at the Woolworth counter and bear witness to what they went through. You get a chance to see and hear Robert F. Kennedy announce to the public the passing of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You also get to see the video of the night that they say this truly happened, where James Brown saved Boston. He was to perform that night, and they didn't want him to because they thought there would be riot in the street. But James, who's a friend of Dr. King, got on stage and he quieted people down, and they celebrated life and what Dr. King had helped to bring about. So moms, dads, I really encourage you, students especially, encourage you, this particular video that documented the Freedom Riders is just incredible. These are young people, young citizens, young fighters that and fighters in an emotional and spiritual sense took up and left home to do better. And you'll see the video coming up soon of a young white man who said, we are willing to, I'm going to hold it there and let you see and hear his words later. There's, the documentation of Brown versus Board. Rosa Parks' memorabilia is there. There's just such a rich history of the struggle that we have gone through. And I just hope and pray that as many people as possible can get there. And yes, we made a donation, so hopefully you will too, so this great work can go on. Just like looking at those signs, and I share with as many students as I can and people when I talk to them about my growing up in the South and remembering the segregated schools. And my brothers and sisters can tell the stories even better because they're older than me, of the white and colored drinking fountains in our hometown. Conyers, Georgia. It's not that long ago that we went through this. So people, please, here's that young man. You'll get to hear his talk a little later on. It's heartbreaking. And at the same time, it's inspiring that people that don't look like me fought for people that look like me. So moms, dads, those who are watching the show, just be warned, there's some tough things in here to watch. However, I'm sure it was much tougher to go through it. Peace. Spread love. There's very little editing. I just am sharing the videos that we saw. Spread love. Be love. Excuse me, brother.
Carry you. Get that one.
Look at all of them again.
Uma foto famosa do governo de Alabama que ele
We have to do this. We have to do this. You're gonna freak out.
And the end to racial discrimination. While Atlantic acceptance toward to Europe and the tide shifted with America and Jacob Oscar convened the city's business
I'm dedicated to this. I'm dedicated to being. We're willing to accept death. But we're going to keep coming until we can rise from anywhere in the South, any There's else to be sung.
Men and women, 7 black and 6 white, organized by CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality, boarded 2 buses in Washington, D.C. They called themselves Freedom Riders. Bound for New Orleans, they intended to exercise their constitutional right of equal access to waiting rooms and lunch counters at bus depots throughout the South. Schooled in nonviolent tactics, they faced the uncertainties of their journey with optimism.
There is a possibility that we will not be served at some stop. There is a possibility that we might be arrested. This is the only trouble that I anticipate.
An incident at Rock Hill, South Carolina provided a frightening preview of what was to come. 3 of the riders were attacked and beaten as they tried to enter a whites-only waiting room. Sunday, Mother's Day, further violence exploded just outside of Anniston, Alabama.
At Anniston, we were surrounded by a mob who followed us out of Anniston for about 4 miles until one of our tires went flat. At that point, they started breaking into the windows of the bus with chains and pipes and one thing and another. They finally threw a bomb into the bus.
And there was immediate flash fire on the bus. And I tried to open the door. Only thing I could hear is, let's burn them niggas. Let's burn them niggas alive. At that moment, the fuel tank exploded. And they ran, and that was the only way we could get that door open. The man came up to me, and I'm coughing and strangling. He said, "Boy, you all right?" And I nodded my head, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. He had hit me with part of a baseball bat. And this is when I see the highway patrolman. He pulls his gun, and he fired in the air. He says, "Okay, you've had your fun. Let's move back." And that's what stopped it.
Unaware of this attack, the second bus continued on to Birmingham.
Last night, a man phoned me, said he was close to the leaders of the Ku Klux Klan. He said he wanted to give me a tip. Be sure and be at the bus terminal on Sunday, he said, because you're going to see action.
James Peck and I, we were scheduled to test the facilities. So he looked at me and I looked at him, and we proceeded to go into the terminal.
They took them into corridors and alleys and began beating them, began hitting them with lead pipes and with key rings and with their fists. They knocked one man, a white man, down at my feet, and they beat him and kicked him until his face was a bloody red pulp. The police did not arrive at this scene until 10 minutes late, when these men had, as if on signal, dispersed and had gone further down the street, where I saw some of them discussing their achievement of the day right under the windows of the police commissioner's office.
I hope that these agitators outside of this state who are seeking to come here will stay at home and mind their own business.
If men like Governor Patterson and Governor Barnett of Mississippi and also Governor Davis of Louisiana would carry out the good oath of their office, then citizens would be able to travel in this country, and then people in Tel Aviv and Moscow and London would not pick up their newspaper for breakfast and realize that America is not living into the dream with liberty and justice for all.
The Freedom Riders were marooned in Birmingham after bus drivers refused to transport them any further.
I have very mixed feelings. I'd learned to be afraid overnight. I was no longer this fearless rider. I was no longer so interested in dying for the cause. I appreciated being alive.
Hurried negotiations between Birmingham officials, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, and his on-the-scene representative John Siegenthaler arranged for the riders to continue to New Orleans by plane. But any thoughts by Kennedy or Birmingham that the freedom rides might end was short-lived. 3 days later, a new group of students from colleges in Nashville arrived at Birmingham. After failing to secure bus passage to Montgomery, they were arrested by Police Commissioner Bull Connor and driven back to the Tennessee border late Thursday night. They vowed they would return, and within a day they did. Governor Patterson assured John Siegenthaler that Alabama's Highway Patrol would protect the Freedom Riders. But Governor Patterson's promises soon proved illusory. When the buses arrived in Montgomery, they were met by a mob. Before police could break up the crowd, at least 20 people had been beaten and injured.
One of the riders, a white student, was banged up pretty badly. 2 other students were hurt. And in trying to rescue a white girl member of the group, an aide to Attorney General Robert Kennedy, John Siegenthaler, was knocked out.
The next day, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, and James Farmer, the National Director of CORE, arrived in Montgomery for an evening service honoring the Freedom Riders. Gathered in the First Baptist Church, over 1,500 supporters were soon surrounded by a mob of 3,000 who bombarded the building with rocks and bottles and burned cars. Reverend King was on the telephone with Robert Kennedy, entreating him to take action to protect those in the church. Kennedy was simultaneously urging Governor Patterson to disperse the mob.
In this situation, I want to make this announcement that the city is now under martial law and troops are on the way into Montgomery.
The violence was quelled, and under pressure from Washington, the governors of Alabama and Mississippi both agreed to have state police and the National Guard protect the Freedom Riders. On Wednesday morning, May 24th, state police and National Guardsmen escorted a dozen Freedom Riders from Montgomery to Jackson, Mississippi. Upon arriving in Jackson, the riders attempted to use the white-only facilities and were immediately arrested. Many were sent to Mississippi's infamous Parchman Penitentiary. Refusing bail, the movement called for more volunteers to come to Jackson to be arrested. Over the next 4 months, Freedom Riders came to Jackson by bus, plane, and train. By the end of the summer of 1961, over 430 Freedom Riders from all over the United States had been arrested.
No matter what happens, we're dedicated to this. We'll take hitting, we'll take beating. We're willing to accept death. But we're going to keep coming until we can ride from anywhere in the South to any place else in the South.
I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on. Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on. Oh, woke up this morning with my mind. Oh Lord, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
I have some very sad news for all of you.
Dr. King was standing on the balcony of a second-floor hotel room tonight when, according to a companion, a shot was fired from across the street.
Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight.
In the friend's words, the bullet exploded in his face. Based on issues and all points bulletins for a wild Western white man seen running from the scene. Officers also reportedly chased and fired on a radio-equipped car containing 2 white men.
return home, say a prayer for the family of Martin Luther King, yes, true. But more importantly, to say a prayer for our own country.
Direct from our newsroom in Washington, this is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
I have some very sad news for
be on your right or your left side. Not for any selfish reason. I want to be on your right, on your left side. Not in terms of some political kingdom or thing. And I just want to be there in love and in justice and in truth. And submission to others so that we can make of this old world a new world.
When, according to their companion, a shot was fired from across the street.
Has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
I have some very sad news for all of you.
Dr. King was standing on the balcony of a second-floor hotel room tonight when, according to a companion, a shot was fired from across the street.
Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight.
In the friend's words, the bullet exploded in his face.
Face of issue and all points bulletin for a well-dressed white man seen running from the scene. Officers also reportedly chased and fired on a radio-equipped car containing 2 white men.
Return home, say a prayer for the family of Martin Luther King, yeah, that's true. But more importantly, to say a prayer for our own country.
Direct from our newsroom in Washington, this is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
I have some very sad